This is the Simple Order System admin website. I'm logged in here into our demo website. You can see you sort of start out on this little home page here, and it tells you this is the URL that you can access your subdomain at. And then if you need help, this is a link to the documentation and then a change log as well, so you can see if we've changed anything. And then underneath that, it lists the categories that you've created so far. So you can see we have a few categories already. And now we'll go over the items that are on the left-hand side. So when you start out as a new user, you won't have any categories over here. You have to create them on the left-hand side over here. But before you do that, you'll want to go through and set up the account info, the global options, and then you could start adding in the category. So the first thing we'll go over is the account info. This is mostly just the basic information about your account, such as your name and address and phone number and whatnot. This information is cached, and it's usually updated only once an hour. Most of this is stuff in this section that you're going to update once, and that's it. You shouldn't be changing it around too much. Although when you're first getting started, the caching can be a problem when you're trying to troubleshoot the S3 bucket that you're going to use, because that's in this screen. So let's go over what this is. You got the business name, we've got the demo lab in there, a logo URL, and I can show you what this stuff is. This would be the logo up here. That is an image even though it's just text. This should be served over HTTPS because the whole site is HTTPS and you can't mix content or else you'll get an error. This is the website full URL for your company's website. You got your phone number, email address for the order notification emails to go to, address, city, country, state, zip code. This is business hours message. This would be in the email, shows at the bottom of the email. And then you got LabWorks customer type. So the Simple Order System integrates really well in with LabWorks. And if you're using customer types, this is where you would set that. It could just be blank, or if you're not using LabWorks, then it's not necessary. POS report types, along with the order on the S3, you're also going to get a file that will tell you what they ordered. Ideally, you would be using LabWorks, in which case this LW.XML report should work with LW. And then there's also a separate one that uses fprice, which is a way to override the price in LabWorks, I believe, by using the pricing that's in the Simple Order System. If you're not using LabWorks, you could use one of these text files, although I find them a little bit difficult to read. The LW report is probably the best one all around. It's XML, but it is pretty easy to read. And then underneath that, we've got the S3 user ID and the S3 secret, as well as the S3 bucket that's needed to put the files into your S3 bucket. Again, the Simple Order System isn't keeping your images anywhere. They flow through our servers and go straight into your bucket. Underneath that, you got your Google Analytics tracking ID, and then order number prefix, as well as the order number. If you're a new user, this is probably going to start out at 1. You could change it to 1,000 or 2,000. The prefix is what goes before the order number, so this is going to end up as SOS-2602 will be the next order. So now we'll go back over here and look at the global options and shipping. At the top here, we've got allowed file types. This is system-wide. You can also set the allowed file types per category. So if you wanted to have a category such as press products and you only want to allow somebody to send you a PDF, you can still set a bunch here and then in that one specific category override it. The next one here, and for the allowed file types, there's no period. It's just the extension JPG, JPEG, it's just a comma delineated list without the period for the extension. Underneath that, we got add user ID to check out. This is for LabWorks. Again, if you're not using LabWorks, you should uncheck that because it's not going to do anything. Sales tax, calculate sales tax in the home state only. We're in California. If you're out of state at the moment, you don't need to collect sales tax. Currency, dollars. There is a few currencies in here, although at the moment, the Simple Order System only works in the United States and Canada. Ship to countries. I have the demo lab set up only to allow shipping to the United States. Here's a list of states and territories. If you didn't want to ship to Guam or the Northern Mariana Islands, you could delete these from the list, but keep all of the rest of the states. And if you wanted to add a country, you can add Canada to the list. We're not going to do that. Let's go down here. Underneath that, we have checkout options. These are what appear after you're in the cart and you start to check out. So here you can see I have an option for add a CD or USB of the images. These top two items are about the option itself, and then you have choices for that option. So the option is CD USB of images. Subtitle, if you would like us to make you a CD or USB of your images, you can select that below. The actual choices are these items down here. You can make this be a required option that they have to do this before they can check out, or you can have it not be required. And then for the choices, you have a name, a POS code. This would be for LabWorks, a price, or a % charge on the cart total. And then this can also be a price per file rather than per cart total. There's certain situations in which case you would want to do that. Say the only thing you're offering is canvases, and maybe this is a rush fee or something, and you want to add $10 on to each canvas as the rush fee, you could do that. It can also be taxable or not taxable. So we've got the first choice for this. Would you like a USB or a CD? The first choice is yes, burn to a CD. Second choice is yes, burn to a USB. And then anytime you're going to have choices like that, you should give them a way out and say no thanks. So this is a way to deselect it and not have to, once they choose one of them, sometimes with radio buttons you have to have one of them chosen, and this is a way out. You should always have a none option or choice. Down below here we have a rush charge as an option, and again it could be required or not required. So, and again, these are just things that I've made up for the demo system. You're not required to have these. You could remove these options and the choices and rename them or do whatever you want. Make your own. That's no problem. So here under here we have rush charge. First choice is, the first choice is normal turnaround time with a cost of 0. Second choice is a 2-hour rush, and then we have a POS code for that for LabWorks. The price is $10, and then it's also plus 10%, and then it's taxable. So that's a nice way to charge a rush charge and still cover the different scenarios by charging a base fee plus a percent. If somebody orders one 4x6, if the rush fee was just 10%, that's not really going to do much for you. So at least you get something and then a percent. So if it's a larger order, the 10% sort of makes sense. If it's a smaller order, the price $10 makes sense. And again, if you wanted to add more, you could just click on add more options here. It'll give you another option set title, and then you can start adding choices down here. And we're going to go ahead and remove those. And then underneath the global checkout options, you have the shipping options. Again, these are not required to have. These are just what I've made up. Although if you're a new user, I think you get these 3 by default, which you can do what you want with them. You could remove them if you wanted to, or you can edit them however you want. First choice is lab pickup, description, POS code, and then there are 3 basic types of shipping. You have pickup, regular ship, and then drop ship. Drop ship versus regular ship has to do with how the address is handled. Drop ship is where it would be going to the client, but you'd still want to collect the customer info for the customer, which includes their address. That way you could use that address as a return address for the order going to the client that's going to a different address. So it handles all 3 of those without much trouble. And then you can also have tiered pricing, which you can see here. Even though this is lab pickup, I do have it set to tiered pricing. Pickup at our lab in San Diego, $1 fee if the order is under $7 total. Basically, instead of having a minimum fee, we like to just charge people something extra if they're going to send in a small order. So here you can see we have the tier uses the order total. Could be flat rate or it could be weight. Weight is something you can set on each product. Order total, and then the price always starts at 0, and then the first fee, and then the next price where the next quantity break would be, and then the fee for that. So here you can see that the lab pickup charge is $1 up until the total order is $7, and then after that it's 0. So it's just an easy way to add on $1 to any order that's under 7. Again, you could set this to anything you want. Go down to the next shipping method that we have. This is just standard shipping. And then you have to set the shipping type. That's set to ship. And then I have this set to flat rate, and it's just $7.95. Drop ship to client. The POS code is drop ship, and then I have the shipping type set to drop ship. And again, this is flat rate here, and then the price is $7.95. But this could be based on weight or the total order. So let's go back up, see what the next thing is. Customization, simple order system demo homepage header. That's just what this text is. Then there's also a footer down here. There's some footer description text here. And as well as you can control this text here. Homepage description text, footer header, footer description, cart summary as you're checking out. So let's go make a quick order here to get something in there. And here you can see the different options that we had in there. There's CD, USB, rush charge. We'll do lab pickup. The cart, what do we call this? The cart summary. If we don't have your billing info on file and your order is being shipped, that is this message down here that you can control that. The simple order system at the moment doesn't handle billing, so this is a place where you could edit that. And you can also see on here estimated shipping and fees is $1. It's because the order is for 65 cents and we have the lab pickup chosen, and lab pickups is set up to add $1 to anything that's less than $7. And down below, this is email notification text at the top. When you get an email notification, the customer and the lab both get the same email. This is the message that's at the top of the email. Normally it just says following a summary of your order. We also added I've added a little blurb about payment. And the final thing here is custom styles. This is custom CSS that you can use to override some of the colors and whatnot that are used throughout the simple order system. You should only use this if you really know what you're doing. User settings, this is just to update your password. And subscription at the moment, we're not using this. This is just in testing at the moment. Don't use anything in there. Underneath that, we got categories and products. I've already set these up, quite a few. Let's look at one. We'll look at Pearl Prints. You have a name for the category. You have a subtitle. So if you go back here, subtitle is this down here. So we're looking at Pearl Prints, Fuji Pearl Prints High Gloss. That is the subtitle. You also have a category description. This is what's shown when you click on that catalog. That gets shown here. Category image URL, again, this needs to be HTTPS. This is the image right there. The image for the category. And here's where you could set category specific allowed file types. This would override the global setting that we had over here. And then you could constrain it just to certain file types if you don't want this particular catalog to allow something that the global setting is set to allow. You could also mark this category as inactive by unchecking the box here if you were working on it and it's not something you actually want people to use, or maybe it's something that have to do with the holidays. When you change anything up here, you need to click Save here. Down below that, we got all the products. And it's pretty easy to make a product. We can click Add a Product, type in a name, a POS code. POS code is optional. This is for LabWorks. And then the price. You can have tiered pricing, or it could just be a flat rate. Again, if you're using tiers, it's always a 0 is the first one, and then you could say this is going to be $2 until you get to 10, and then after that it's going to be $1, and then after 100 it's going to be 50 cents. You can either enter in tiered pricing like this, or it could just be a flat rate. This checkbox for order tier pricing means that the break is for all items in the order that are the same size. So say you want to offer a 4x6 price that's tiered, that if they get 100 or more of that one file, they get the discount. But if they order 100 different files, one of each, you don't want them to get that discount. That's what the order tier pricing is for. And if you check the box, The quantity break is for the order of the same size, not per file. So if you wanted it that they only get it for one file that they get 100 of, you would uncheck this. And then here's where the weight would go, that if you want to use shipping to be done by the weight, you can add the weight on there. And then if you wanted to have an option like mounting, then you would check on options here. And we would say the option name would be mounting. And then the choices would be gator board, foam core, styrene, something like that. You got a POS code for this particular choice. Maybe this is test MG. That's how we do our pricing codes. The M is mounting, the G is gator board. Price is $11. The weight, again, this is used for the shipping. If you wanted to use shipping, uses weight. And this is also could also be tiered pricing or a flat rate. And then if you wanted to add another choice, you could have foam core and whatnot. Up here you get prices per file, and this would be charged only once no matter the quantity. So this would be more like for a setup fee. You would not do this for mounting, or else if somebody got 10 of the same file and wanted all 10 of them mounting, it would only charge you once. But if you wanted to do a proof as an option or some sort of setup fee, then you would check this checkbox. And then if you wanted to have another option on top of this, you could go for it there from there. And we'll just put this as $7 and click submit. And now we should have an extra product here. And you can see in the product list here, there is sort of a summary of what the attributes are for that product. We have price. There's the pricing for that, POS code, the weight, order tier, and then the options. We had mounting as an option. So if you go look at some of these other ones, we can go look at what this 8x12 is. There's the pricing. It looks like $5. Once it gets to 10, it's $4. Once it gets to 100, it's $3. If there's over 300, it's $2.50. POS code is 812 RDP. The weight is 0. Order tier is true. Options are mounting and hanging options, and it's not showing you here what the actual individual options are, but if you wanted to see that, you click on edit over here, and now you can see what the mounting options are: styrene, foam core, gator board. There's the pricing and the codes. Next option set is hanging options, requires mounting. There is not actually a way to require that to happen. That's just for the customer to see, that hopefully they'll know that they need to actually choose a mounting option in order to have a hanging option. And we'll cancel out of there. In this list here of products, as you're making them, if you don't get them in the exact order that you want, so you can see up here I have the most common sizes: 4x6, 5x7, 8x10, 11x14, and then I start over with the small sizes again. If you didn't like that and you wanted to move these around and you want to move this up, you can just grab it. And now you can see I've moved 3x5 up above 4x6. I'm going to move it back because I like the way it was. This is a little finicky sometimes. 4x6, 5x7, 8x10, 11x14, 3x5. Now we're back. And here's our test one that we made. As you're getting started, if you're just creating a new catalog and the different items within that catalog are all going to have the same option sets, but maybe the pricing is going to be the same, you're best to make one and get it dialed in the way you like it and then duplicate it. So over here, I can copy it. And now I can call this test 2, and it's brought in all the same information. I don't have to retype. Primarily, this would be not needing to retype in the option name and then the choice names. If you're just offering regular prints and you're offering mounting on one, you're probably offering mounting on all of them, and the options are probably pretty similar in name. And then you would just need to figure out the POS code and the price and the weights if you need to do that. I'm going to press cancel. On the options, we only did one option there, but say this one up here, 12x36, it has multiple option sets, mounting and hanging options. When you do the mounting options, if you don't like the order they're in, you can go back here, and again, you can drag this one however you want and then save it. However, that doesn't make a lot of sense on that, so I'm going to go back and change it back. Mounting should be the first thing they see. Hanging options should be second. And if we go back over here and look, what were we looking at? 12x36. Actually, we were in the Pearl catalog, 12 by 36. And I don't think that product showed up here because I haven't refreshed it. There we go. There's our test product. If we look at the 12 by 36, this is the one that had multiple options. So here's where the actual option sets show up. Mounting, select your option, hanging options, hanging cleat, save and close. Now you have those options added in. Let's see what else is there. So I no longer want this test. Let's go ahead and delete it. Yes. If this entire catalog needed to be duplicated, so I have Pearl prints here, I have full service up here, I have pro pricing, luster prints. So I have two catalogs for luster prints that are more or less the same. The only difference is pro pricing versus full service, which is whether or not we need to look at the files and color correct them. When I did that, I would have just duplicated this entire catalog so I get the whole thing, and then I could just go in and change the pricing. And you can do that by just clicking duplicate catalog. And now you can see down here at the bottom I have full service pro luster prints copy, and then I would just change the name, change the icon, and then I could go in and start editing all the pricing. I don't need that, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. And when you're doing that, if you don't like the order that the categories are in, if you go back to the home screen, you can move them around here. So say I wanted prints on metal to be the first thing that they see. Now it's moved up over here, and if I refresh the main page here, you can see prints on metal is the first thing.